Hi Titans, and thank you for joining us. My name is Jennifer Wheeler. I'm a project manager in the Office of the Dean of Students, and today I'm here to talk to you about Proctorio. We have been hearing your questions, listening to your concerns, and so we gathered a group of experts really from IT so that they could answer your questions and talk to you all about Proctorio, what it is, why it's been implemented, and how you can get help if you need it. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to introductions, and then we can get into a quick overview of Proctorio and its implementation, and then we'll get straight into all of the questions that you sent us. So we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves.
Rohana, you want to go first?
Sure. Brian Tedese, I serve as the Associate Vice President for IT, Academic Technology Services.
Let's go with Lori next.
Hi, I'm Lori Arthur Carmichael from IT Training and Supports.
Desdi.
Hi, I'm Dusty Chanswa. I'm the IT Project Management Officer.
And I'm Romel Hidalgo. I'm the Associate Vice President for IT. Glad to be here again with you, Jennifer, to answer these Proctorio questions.
Yes, thank you all for being here. I know you all have limited time, but this is important. We'll start off with Berhanu. If you want to give an overview of Proctorio for us, that will help frame our conversation for us to jump into questions.
Sure, thanks, Jennifer. Transitioning to the virtual environment required the implementation of various tools to ensure students and faculty have all the necessary tools for remote learning. Proctorio, GoReact, and Labster are some of the tools that were implemented during this virtual instruction time. Proctorio has been used by the School of Nursing, and ProctorU has been used by the College of Business. Students used to be required to pay for proctor exams in the past. With the Proctorio agreement, which is a CSU and CSU Fullerton agreement, give us a discounted price to make Proctorio available to all CSU Fullerton students. That way, students are not required to pay for proctored exams. Proctorio was evaluated for security compliance and accessibility compliance by both CSU Fullerton and CSU, the California State University system, and they met the requirement, completely. So it is a very secure and reliable product.
Thank you, Berhanu.
Yes, thank you. So that's helpful. I think now we can go ahead and get started with the questions. So I'll read them off and then you all can take turn answering. So the first one is, I'm an international student. Will I have any issues downloading or using Proctorio in my home country?
Currently, there are no international students who have any challenge with Proctorio. Proctorio works remotely. It is downloaded with a browser extension. It doesn't require a large software download, and it should be working with reliable network connection.
Thank you. The next question has to do with students who may have a disability. Some disabilities may prohibit the use of Proctorio. We got a specific example from a student who said, I have a disability that makes it difficult to sit still, especially during exams. I'm worried that this program will report my behavior as suspicious and I might be accused of cheating.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. That's very important. Proctorio is an accessible software. We do make sure that any software we get for our campus is accessible. We work closely with our campus disability support services. And if any student is having any issues or needs help with accommodations, please contact disability support services and we will work with them. They will reach out to us to make sure that you have the support you need.
Thank you, Dusty. The next question is, my device doesn't have enough space to download Proctorio.
Well, the good news there is that there is no native software to download for Proctorio. It is just a browser extension, so it's very easy to download and there isn't any kind of big file associated with downloading it.
That is good to know, thank you. Okay, next question. What if my internet connection cuts out while I'm taking the exam? Would it end the exam? Would I be able to retake it?
Let me take that question. So It's actually a setting within Proctorio. So for my class, I've taken this into consideration. I know while we've been virtual, I have lost internet connectivity at times, and I'm considering the same thing for my students, that they may be in an area where if they experience an internet outage, I don't want them to get penalized while doing the quizzes for my class. So I've actually set up my Proctorio quizzes to allow for re-entry in the event that that happens. So again, for the students, please work with your faculty member and let them know that this is a possibility. And it's a simple setting for the faculty members to set up within their Proctorio. Great question, thank you.
Yeah, that's good to know. So it's case by case basis. So make sure you're reaching out to your faculty to see what their settings are and express those concerns. The next question is, why do I have to show my ID? And what if I don't have an ID?
Great question. So for my class, for the quizzes that we've had, I utilize the ID setting at the very beginning of the exam or the quiz to make sure that the student enrolled in my class is actually the person who is taking that quiz, and it's not someone else who's taking it for them. So for me, for the Proctorio settings that I've got, I accept a Titan card. If they've got a Titan card that shows their picture and their name, and that they are the same person in that ID, it's fine. I let the students take the quiz and the exam, and I accept the points that they get for their performance. So again, for me, it's just another piece of verification that I use, because if we're virtual, I don't want it to be the case where one of my students, or supposedly one of my students, someone else took the exam for them and they got a great score. I just want to have an even playing field for every single student in my class.
Got it. And so that's another optional setting, it sounds like. So make sure you're reaching out to your faculty if you have questions about that. Okay, the next one. I do not have access to a private or empty room. Isn't this a requirement?
So it's very similar to the first couple of questions you just asked. For me, for my particular class, I've talked to my students and I've told them it's okay if you don't have a private or empty room, just let me know. And I'll take that into consideration while we're taking the quiz or exam. I let the students know that for them and for their performance, it benefits them to actually find a quiet setting where they can just go in and take the quiz or the exam and do the best that they can. But if there is someone else in there and I see that that person was just passing through, I don't penalize them for that. But I have told my students that if it looks like you're consulting with that other person for the answers, then I will reach out to you and find out from you exactly what was that incident about, because it could impact their scores for that particular quiz or exam.
That's good to know. And so professors are reviewing, so let's say Proctorio flags movement in the background. Professors are reviewing it. It's not going to automatically result in some type of violation. That's good to know. Thank you. All right, next question. I don't feel comfortable recording myself or my background. What can I do?
So for the students that I've got, that actually, it hasn't come up too much as a question. If it were a case with one of my students, I would do what I can to reassure them that, look, it's just between me and you. I'm just making sure as the faculty member that there is no additional resources that they're consulting for the quiz, just to hold them accountable to one another, that they're all taking the quiz or the exam on an even playing field. So there's really not much for them to worry about with their background. But if there is an issue, then I would look for a way to maybe do the assessment some other way for them. But so far for my class, all 46 of my students have agreed to take Proctorio with the settings that I've got. And what I've told my class is that if there are any issues that Proctorio causes the class, I'm open to making adjustments to the settings that I've got to make sure that the students can take the exam with minimal interruption, utilizing the Proctorio proctoring tool that we've got for the campus.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Ramel, because these are optional settings within Proctorio. So individual faculty can choose what kind of settings they have for each of their classes.
That's good to know. Thank you both. All right, the next couple of questions are about privacy concerns. So the first one is, I heard that if I download Proctorio, it gets access to everything on my computer, including my search history and personal information. Is this true? We also got another one that's similar, so I'll read that as well. I heard that Proctorio is essentially spyware, and that when I agree to download it, I'm agreeing to a bunch of other things like granting it access to view my downloads, search history, manage my privacy settings and applications. Is there a way to only grant it access to certain items and not my entire computer? Are there additional settings?
Thanks, Jennifer. Proctorio is a remote proctoring software that will be used when you take quizzes or exams in Titanium and Canvas. Proctorio may record your webcam, your screen, or other actions during the exam session and share that information with your instructor. Proctorio has been recognized by the iKeep Safe Coalition for meeting the highest data security and privacy standards, allowing Proctorio to be the first and only remote proctoring software to earn the iKeep Safe certification. It is not randomly accessing your computer, accessing files. All it does is when you log into Titanium or Canvas and take the exam, it will record that session specifically. There is no other searches or other activities on the computer. And Proctorio is not a spyware. It is a credible, secure, reliable software for remote proctoring purposes.
Yeah, like I've told my students, it's not spyware. It's actually just between me and that individual student. Whatever gets recorded is for my use to assess and make sure that the students all took the quiz and exam on an even playing field. So great answer, Brahanu. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. Okay, another question, also privacy related. I heard that once I download Proctorio, it can record me at any time. For example, even after I'm done taking my exam and I'm not using the software, it will continue to monitor me. Should I uninstall it after I finish my exam?
This is not true. Proctorio gets activated when you take an exam that is set with Proctorio monitoring. If you are not taking any exam that's activated with Proctorio monitoring, the software is not going to do anything. If it makes you feel comfortable, because it's a browser extension, it is possible you can install it when you take exam and you can uninstall it when you are done with the exam. All the activities for Proctorio begins with taking the exam and it will end when the exam finishes. At that time, the file is encrypted and sent to the instructor. Nobody else, even within Proctorio, has access to that encrypted file. That's one of the reasons we selected Proctorio, is for the data security purpose.
That's really good to know. Thank you. Another one for privacy. I read the privacy policy on the Proctorio website, but I still have concerns. How do I know specifically that Proctorio isn't going to sell my private information or the videos that it records?
When we are negotiating with any software company, we require documentation, we require their attestation on security and accessibility. If a company does anything different than what they told us when we procured the software, they will be in violation of the contract and they can be prosecuted by law. Proctorio clearly stated that they don't share information, they don't collect student information, they don't give access to anybody, to the recording sessions other than the instructor who created the exam. We take that word in their contractual obligation seriously. So I don't think there is any concern if the company is, attesting to these facts. By the way, Proctorio is not just used by CSU. It is used more broadly by higher education and K through 12 institutions nationwide. So it's not a fly, a fly-by company that we cannot hold them to what they're agreeing to in this contract.
That's good to know. Thank you. All right, so our next question is, how are faculty members being trained on Proctorio?
The Faculty Development Center conducted several workshops over the summer for faculty, and IT also has workshops for students on Canvas and Proctorio basics that are listed on our campus Proctorio website that you're welcome to sign up for to learn out more about it.
Awesome, thank you. And we'll go ahead and put those links in the description of this video or in our bio if you're looking at our Instagram. Our next question is, if my professor requires us to use Proctorio, I assume that means they don't trust us and they think that we are going to cheat on exams. Is this true? Is there any other reason why a professor would want their class to use Proctorio?
So for my class, what I've told my students is that I'm using Proctorio to hold them all accountable into the same level playing field. I don't want some students in the class to have access to outside resources, and because they have access to those resources, they get better scores than everyone else. I want them all to go through the material, read it, and then participate with me in the discussions and lectures. And based on that, based on their understanding, be able to do well on the quizzes or exams, which are proctored by Proctorio. It would be similar to if we were on campus and we were taking the exam or the quiz in class. I would be walking around the classroom, making sure that the students are not utilizing additional resources. And if they are, I go over there and I let them know, hey, that's not allowed. Everyone else is not using additional resources. You cannot use additional resources as well. And so that's what I use Proctorio for. And that's what I've told my students that we'll be using Proctorio for. And to my class and my students, it seems to be a fair way to utilize this proctoring tool.
Thank you. And I totally agree with what you say. And I would add from the Dean of Students perspective, you know, integrity is very important, not only to our office, but the campus in general. We want to make sure that students, faculty, employees, everyone has integrity. So this is just one way to make sure that we're upholding that standard while we're virtual and while you're in online classes. All right. This is our final question. If I'm having trouble downloading Proctorio, is there a how-to guide, video, or somewhere that I can go to for help?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have a website, fullerton.edu/Proctorio, where we post our little guides, videos, FAQs. There's also a link to the Proctorio website, which has a 24/7 live chat. So at any time you could go on there and ask questions. Our student IT help desk is also available 24/7. You can call us anytime, 657-278-8888. So we have a lot of help and support available for you.
Thank you, Dusty, and thank you everyone who was helping answer these questions. Thank you, IT. I know there were a lot of questions and they were some hard-hitting questions, so it's really important that you were able to be here and address them. To our students, to our Titans, I hope that this webinar was helpful for you. I hope you learned some things. Feel free to check out the Proctorio website at fullerton.edu/Proctorio. You can also go to the Proctorio website where you can find their privacy policy. It also answers a lot of the questions that, of course, our IT folks were able to answer today. So if you want to see it in writing or just get more information, feel free to go there. At this point, I'll go ahead and close this off. Does anyone have any closing remarks that they want to give to our Titans before we end this webinar?
I wanted to thank the Dean of Students Office and Jennifer for coordinating this. I think this will be a great resource for students with regard to the information they're wanting to know more about with regards to Proctorio. So thank you very much for that.
Of course, thank you. All right, well, thank you again for being here. Thank you, Titans, for watching this. Be sure to share it with a friend who may also have questions. And until then, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
So.